All right, we are live. This is Dr. Michael K from the Center for Functional Health. And today I'm honored to have with me a special guest, and that's Leandrew Marshall. I met Leandrew through our workout program. So we both belong to Over
Okay.
40 Alpha Brotherhood, and that's run and operated by Funk Roberts. So a shout out to Funk Roberts. Thank you, Funk, for bringing us together. Absolutely love your workouts. Leandrew, I know you're one of the captains now as well, right? So I think that's great.
Absolutely.
I absolutely love Funk's workouts. It's really wonderful. And today I get to bring Leandrew on. So Leandrew is coming up in my feed quite a bit, and I really liked what he had to say. And I liked his motivational statements. I like what he had to share. And tonight we're going to talk about mindset. And that's really important. So, Leandrew, thank you very much for coming on. So, to start, if you can share with everybody, how did your journey begin? What did you do to get here? When did you get on to the Over 40 Alpha Brotherhood? Let us know what happened.
Absolutely. And thank you again, Michael, for having me on. It's a pleasure to be on here. I really appreciate that. So my name is Leandrew Marshall. I'm 40 years old, father of three kids to keep me busy, and also, work in the healthcare field for a large healthcare organization. And I'm doing outreach to patients, but in the past, I've worked in clinics. I work with the Medicare population, and more so making sure they're getting their metrics done. If they're a diabetic, making sure they're getting their A1C done, or making sure they're getting their diabetic eye exam. So I feel like I've kind of been blessed to see that side, because I get to see where people kind of end up when they have certain conditions or when they haven't taken care of themselves, as well as people who are healthy. So you kind of get to see the end result, and it really opens my eyes to make better choices of what I do now. Um, like Michael said, I come up in his feed quite a bit. I'm really passionate about fitness, nutrition, and coaching. That's really my passion. That's what I love doing, because I was in a place in time in my life where I wasn't the healthiest. And that, I'll kind of just give you a summary of my journey. Um, it really started in 2019, going through marriage issues at the time when I was married, and really just drinking a lot, doing things that weren't of myself. I was overweight. And the real eye opener for me was when I went to the doctor's office at age 37. He told me I had high blood pressure, I had high cholesterol, overweight, BMI, and everything else. And it was really an eye opener for me, because I'm like, I'm too young to have high cholesterol. That kind of scared me. So I started my journey with just, walking at work on my breaks, and then eventually moved into working out, where I saw Funk Roberts. That's how we met. And I've been following Funk for a number of years, but he had come out with a program. It was the over 40 Alpha program. I wasn't 40 at the time, but I looked at the program and I thought it was something that I could really benefit from, and just went in head first. And that was my journey. I've been staying consistent with it. I changed my diet around, started working out consistently 3 to 4 days a week, and really just in the brotherhood of just being accountable for yourself, being accountable to other brothers and guys there your age that are going through the same thing you were going, to really helped out along the journey.
And you're also a certified fitness and nutrition coach as well, right?
Oh yes, that's right. Fitness, nutrition, strength and conditioning. Yes. So
So,
yeah, I took my yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
you went to the doctors and they said, you have this, your blood pressure is high, cholesterol is high, and all that. But there
Yeah.
have been other people that are in that same situation, but they just continue. They just take the medicine. So, what is it that you heard that said, "Hey, okay, no, I do have to make a change. I'm just not going to take the medicine. There's going to have to be a complete change." What was it that you thought about? We could have easily just kept going.
Right. Right. For me, I never really liked medicine. I think medicine kind of masks problems. Now, certain things you do need to take medication, so I'll definitely say that. But certain things that are within my control that I could change, I felt that I owed it to myself to at least give my own efforts of trying to do it on my own without resorting to medication unless it was absolutely necessary. So
So, to as a certified fitness and nutrition coach, do you have clients where, hey, you're just working on nutrition, and then your clients they're just working on fitness, or do you try to blend both those worlds?
yeah, so some people do just come for the nutritional coaching. Some people come for both. Some people may have, they have a background of working out for a while, and they've reached plateaus where they're no longer getting results, or they kind of stuck and don't know what to do. So I kind of get a little blend of both. But I kind of like blending both together, making sure people are doing the proper movements, the proper activity for for what they're trying to, their goals, as well as eating properly. The two together are a great combination.
And do you find that when you're seeing people, do you see a certain like age range? Do you see both men and women, or do you see people who are just starting out, people that are older? What is your range?
Yeah, so when I got certified, it was probably towards when the pandemic started in, I believe it was at 2020, I want to say. That was when everybody, the gyms were locked down and people were kind of panicking. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know what workouts to do. So that's when, I mean, it kind of occurred to me. I was like, I need to be out there helping these people. I work out at home. I've always done majority of my workouts at home. Sometimes I do like going to the gym, but for the most part, it's always been at home because it's convenient and it works for me. I don't have to spend time traveling to the gym, but I have a place here where I can just get my workouts in. And I felt like, as somebody really being passionate about it, I felt like I can really offer value and teach people that even if you don't have a gym, you can still work out. You can still do something that's going to benefit you in your health.
And do you feel like that you don't have to buy a lot of equipment to work out at home, right? I mean, I still work out at home. I work out, in the basement. I got some kettlebells and dumbbells and stuff like that, and then just body weight. So when you start with somebody, do you feel it's good to start them with their own body weight, or do you take them to like, hey, we're going to start lifting heavy weights and stuff like that?
So if somebody has a lot of experience working out, you might want to blend over to the dumbbells, but I think really going back to that foundation of body weight training is really beneficial, and I think that's really the best place to start. Now you can do dumbbells, once you establish a routine, but I just think it's real critical, like the first 14 days of working with somebody that they really establish that consistency, because that's usually when people quit. The first 14 days you're really sore, you're aching, the workouts are hard, and it's easy to just say I quit. I mean, it's only been 2 weeks. So I think that's a really paramount time in fitness to work with somebody is the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I see that like a lot in nutrition too. And I'm sure you see the same, where it's like,
Yeah,
you know, people are like, oh, this is too hard, right? They'll give me like a
yeah,
week or two, and like, oh, yeah, can't keep. I just want normal food, and I'm like, well, you're eating normal food, right? I'm like, what are you eating that's not? Well, what are you not eating? Well, I'm not eating the Chips Ahoy, and I'm not eating the pretzels and chips. I'm like, well, yeah, you shouldn't be eating that,
yeah.
right? So, but they don't think that they think that's normal food, not eating whole foods, like, which is really important for their system. So one of the things that you and I discussed is mindset, and I want to spend a little time talking about that. And again, I love what you share when I see your Facebook post. So in your definition, what do you feel is mindset? And then how do we create a positive mindset, especially if we've grown up in a negative mindset? And I'll be very transparent. I mean, in my house, it was more negative, much more than it was positive, right? So, how do we develop a positive mindset? Because it's easy to develop a negative mindset. We just see it. So,
Right.
how do we develop a positive mindset? Is what I want to know.
Oh, absolutely. So mindset, you have to intentionally work on that. That's something that should be put in your daily routine. For me and a lot of people that I know are successful is they start their day off how they want to finish it on a good note. They work on their affirmations, they read or put something positive in their mind first thing in the morning. They focus on their goals. Those are things that are really important for your mindset, because if you start out on a good note, start out putting great things in your mind, then the rest of your day is going to go great as well. And people don't realize that something good doesn't have to happen for you to have a good day. You can intentionally choose to have a better day by your actions first thing in the morning. And that's really important, if you don't have a daily routine, to establish one. Really working on affirmations, writing down the things that you want in your life, writing out your goals and looking at them every first thing in the morning, because that's what's going to keep you from making those bad food choices. Because when you go to reach for that food that doesn't line up with your goals, you should have fresh in your mind the goals that you set for yourself. And you're going to ask yourself, if I eat this, is it lining up with my goals? Is it going to take me a little step closer? And that's what a lot of people are missing, is the daily routine and really starting the day off on a good note, putting positive things in their mind.
So what does your daily morning look like? I mean, you read about all these things online, like, okay, I'm supposed to get up and I'm supposed to journal, and then I'm supposed to do some yoga. Then I'm supposed to do my breathing workout, and then I'm supposed to stretch, and then I'm supposed to get ready to go to work with a special protein drink. So I got to.
Yeah,
It's like hours in the morning, man. I gotta go to work. I gotta
yeah.
see patients. So, you know, taking that information you just shared, what does your morning look like?
Yeah, it's really about not crowding your morning too much. You got to have your foundational things you work on. For me, first thing in the morning, I have to do some type of prayer. I know everybody's not spiritual, but for me, that's what I do. I have to pray first thing in the morning. I want to write my affirmations, write out the things that I want in my life, the things that I want to speak into existence. I also love either watching something positive or I'll read a book. I'm right now finishing up Choose to Win. That's the book I've been reading. I started it before in the past, but I never really finished it. So I'm dedicated to really finishing that book right now. So really affirmations, spending time working on my goals, prayer, and I know I'm missing something. And if it's a workout day, I'll usually get my workout in. But as far as all the other things like business things and stuff like that, you can kind of develop time blocks throughout your day for that. But for me, the most important thing is really something for my mindset, affirmations, reading, things like that.
Okay. Can we talk a little bit about affirmations? I mean, affirmations came to me when I first started listening to Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins. All these people talk about affirmations. So for me, I found like I was getting stuck, right? So I'd have these affirmations, I
Yeah.
say it every day, but how do we go from affirmations to action? What do you tell your coaching clients?
That's a great question, actually. First off, don't feel like your affirmations have to be really complicated. When you overcomplicate things and we get confused, we usually don't take any action. Right? So it doesn't have to be complicated. Make them simple. And when you write that affirmation, think about what can I do to make that a reality? What can I do to take a little bit step closer to getting there? And I think that's where people miss is they write these affirmations and they say to themselves, well, there's no way I'm going to complete it. I'm not going to be able to make that. Well, if you're writing something positive, but your mind, you've already got something negative in there, those two don't line up. So it's really not only writing the affirmation and keeping it simple, but coming up with some kind of action step. It doesn't have to be big, small steps. Write it down and focus on it every morning and build upon it. Little steps. It doesn't have to be big.
And you shared that in one of your videos. You said, focus on like the small things, not the things that are like dragging you down. Focus on the small wins of the day. And we'll see
Yeah,
patients in the office where it's like they come in, they're all stressed, their shoulders are up, they got headaches, they got neck pain, and their stomach is
yeah,
bothering them. And it's like, well, what's going on? And well, there was traffic and a guy hit his brakes in front of me, and the bad weather out, and and it just all
yeah,
that piles up, and it's like, I'm like, well, did anybody get diagnosed with anything bad? They're like, no. I'm like, you still have your job? Yeah. You still got your car? Yeah. Kids are fine? Yeah. Like, okay, so not too bad, right? So I love when you talk
yeah,
about focusing on the wins, and having kids. We were talking about a little bit before we started. Is like, man, shouldn't we be teaching mindset in school? So what do you teach your kids? I mean, you said you're a father of three, right?
yeah, yeah.
Right.
I am.
So what mindset things do you pass on to your kids to set up a life of success?
Yeah, I try to tell them the same thing I tell adults is every situation doesn't have to be drastic. Kid, oh my God, I can't find this. It's like we always tend to focus on the negative stuff so quickly instead of looking at positive. There's always something positive in every situation. And if we're constantly focused on the negative, people don't realize that whatever you focus on, you're going to get more of it. So if you're constantly thinking negative thoughts and you see everything as negative, you're going to get exactly what you're asking for. Your brain is great at delivering that to you. And I think that's one thing that we have to remember. And that's one thing I tell my kids, focus on the positive things. Like you just said, did something drastically happen? If it didn't, it's not that big of a deal. You know, you should expect bad things to happen every day. They're going to happen, but it's just how you react to it. That's the one thing we can control is our reaction. So that's what we should be focusing on, the things that we can control and not the things we can't control.
Beautiful. And when it comes to mindset, and let's talk a little bit about that over 40 crowd, right? That we're in, right? Or I'm in, So how
Yeah,
old are you now?
I'm in too.
Okay, so
I'm
so
40. I'm in.
welcome to
I'm
the
in there
club,
too.
right?
I just got my big toe in there.
Yeah, you're dipping in the water, man.
Yeah.
So what can you say to, this 40-year-old guy that's been sitting in a cubicle? Um, he's now got that abdominal visceral fat in the front. It's harder to walk up the steps, and it's like it's just so hard to get going. It's just so hard to start. What words can you share with that individual? What can they do to change that mindset? Because I think often they see like maybe these other people on, Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, and like, oh, I can't do that. I mean, so what can you say to them?
Well, first thing I'm gonna say, shout out to one of my mentors, John Milton, because he always said this. We got to get rid of comparitis. We can't compare ourselves to others because we're all uniquely different. We have different hormones, we have different genes. So no two people are ever going to be alike, even if they're the same exact height, same exact weight. So we got to first of all stop comparing ourselves to other people. And sometimes we don't even know who we're comparing ourselves to. You don't know that person's journey. You don't know how long it took them to get there. So the first thing I would say is stop focusing so much on where you are and pay more attention to where you're trying to go. Because if we look at where we are, we're going to be discouraged. Yeah, you see the person that you are, you don't see that person as stepping into that person that you want to be. But the first step is stop focusing so much on where you are and focus on where you're trying to go. And that's where that's where the first step for a lot of people should be.
That's beautiful. I mean, it happens in business as well, right? We look at somebody who's
Yeah.
successful. I take a look at what Funk has done. I mean, it's really
Oh
amazing.
yeah.
He's got great programs, and somebody's like, "Oh, how do I get there?" And I'm like, "He just didn't get there overnight, man. He and his wife have been working at it and working at it. So, someone would like to get there, but to get to the top, they got to climb a little bit, right? I mean, and you're going to have ups and
Yeah.
downs, and eventually get there. I like one of the things that you had posted. It was change begins at the end of your comfort zone, right? So if we can talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that statement, like because people don't like change, man. People
Yeah,
don't.
absolutely. I mean, change it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. Nobody wants to be uncomfortable. But when we're comfortable sitting around and not being active, and we're comfortable with our current life, there's no reason for us to change. And that moment when we step out of our comfort zone and do something that we didn't think we can do, there's a level of confidence that you get from that. But if you stay sitting in your comfort zone and you just stay comfortable, there's no reason and there's no motivation behind that. And that's what I think that statement really takes heed to is that you need to step out and do something that's going to make you uncomfortable. Another thing you probably always hear me say is get comfortable being uncomfortable. When you can get that principle, then you won't be really scared to step out and do things because you know it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's not always going to be uncomfortable. It's temporary.
Yeah, and I definitely see it. And then we have the patients and the clients that come to us, then that have had setbacks, though, right? So they'll
Right.
say, "Well, you don't understand. I have X, Y, and Z, and I can't." Right? So, how can we get a person who has this physical setback and maybe a mental health setback that really knocked them on their butt, right? So we want to change their mindset. Have you worked with patients who or clients who have just like they got this shoulder injury or back injury and they got to get up and moving again, but they're saying, they're coming with that failure attitude and say, I can't do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's when you're focused too much on your problems. When we focus too much on our problems, we don't look at the solution at all. And if we just look at, like I said, if we look at where we currently are, we look at all these different things that are in the way, these roadblocks, and we focus too much on that, we're not going to focus on what can I do instead. If I do have this injury, well, there's obviously some other exercise I can do. So let me start thinking, what else can I do to get active and not let that hinder me? And that's the problem is a lot of times we get too focused on the negative stuff and we should be focusing on the solution more.
Yeah, I mean, I see that, and I see where a lot of people struggle on looking at what they can't do as opposed to what they can do. And like you said before, they compare, right? So a lot
Right.
of times, guys want to keep up with the younger guys in the gym, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, Funk's in amazing shape, and maybe he can keep up with the 26-year-old. I can't keep up with the 26-year-old anymore, and that's okay. I don't want it. I just want to be able to work out and get healthy, right? So and go back and
Right.
do my job. So there was before, I'm sure maybe you experienced as well, there's workout to look a certain way and exercise to look
Yeah.
a certain way. And then there's like, I want to exercise so I don't have a stroke. I want to exercise so I don't get heart disease.
Yeah.
I want to exercise so I don't get diabetes. Those are real important things that I just don't want to get. If I look good along the way, that's great. We'll take it.
Yeah.
One of the other things that you had talked about, which I think there's like a significant lack of now, and that's humor, right? You mentioned that in one of your things when you were talking about, you're talking about focus on the good things. You're talking about, affirmations, and you talked about humor. I don't know
Yeah. I
about you, but I see
remember.
a lot of people it's just that lack of humor anymore, right? Even looking at oneself, right? Not making fun of
Yeah.
somebody else, but having humor in your life and joy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, even it's like even when you're out maybe at the grocery store and it's like this happens to everybody when the cement is uneven and you trip over it and then you immediately look around to see who sees you falling and stuff. And I learned to just laugh at those moments. Laugh. I
Yes.
mean, we focus too much on what, hey, I wonder what that person's thinking about me. They just saw me trip. And we focus too much on what other people think rather than just going about your day. It's laugh it off. It's funny.
Right.
I laugh at a lot of things. My kids probably think I'm crazy because I laugh at some of the things they do, but laugh it off. Everything doesn't always have to be serious. Laughing is good for you. Laughing is going to put you in that positive mood. But when we stop looking at everything always into the world negative, then our whole moods would change. Our days would be a lot better as well.
Yeah, I agree. I can tell you, my kids laugh at me all the time. I'm sure I'm the brunt of their jokes many, many times now. You know, I can remember when my kids were growing up, and obviously I've been into nutrition for a long time, and to the point where the two of them just mock me about reading ingredients and stuff like that. So with your kids, do you teach them now to look at what they're eating? Are you just trying to set that now for them?
Oh yeah, I probably get on their nerves when I
Yeah,
tell them that
I know
has too
I
much
do.
sodium, that has too much sodium, or you don't eat all that candy, or eat a piece of fruit with every meal, and they're looking at me like. And then when they see my plate, sometimes my daughter she'll see like there's some salmon in there, and she's like, "Ew!" I'm like, you ain't got to eat it. You'll wish you were eating it when you get older. But I just try to put those foundations in for them. Yeah, that some things they're gonna hate, but when you do find things they like and you build that foundation early, they're gonna adapt that. I often look and I'll see my daughter telling, her sister, "Hey, you need to have a piece of fruit with that meal," or you. And it inspires me. It makes me happy because they do pay attention, but certain things they're not gonna like. They're gonna think it's gross, which I'm okay with.
Sure, sure. But her sharing that with her young women, that's a great win. I mean, my kids never had like hot dogs or hamburgers, right? And my son says to me one time, he goes, "Well, why does the parent over there let him have the hot dog? Why is that?" And I said, "He doesn't love his kid like I love you." So it's tell the kid horrible things, right? So you know, the idea is like I always felt like if I could teach them when they were younger, at least to give them that base, right? That foundation to look at nutrition. Because I always say like the power of health is at the end of the fork, right? The power of energy
Yeah,
is at the end of the fork, right? Food is nothing but fuel. And we see with our patients
absolutely.
though, when the mindset comes involved when they start binging and craving. And
Yeah.
if they go off the program for a little bit or the protocol, sometimes that mindset is, well, I already blew it, so I might as well just not even go back. So what do you say to your clients who like they're following your nutritional protocol for a while and they're doing well, but then they have like some cake and cookies and like, well, I blew it, now I'm just gonna eat whatever I want. And it becomes a very brain thing when they start, binging and craving.
Right. I think the important thing with that is to manage the expectations from the beginning. A lot of people feel like when it comes to health and nutrition, it has to be perfect. And if I eat something bad, that's the end of it. And it's not. You had a human moment. We're all humans. Even I sometimes I crave stuff and I may have it, but I try to keep it very short, small moderations. But people just need to understand that you made a human moment, you had a human mistake. What did you learn from it? What are you gonna do moving forward? When you ate that, did you feel as good as you did when you're eating the healthy stuff? It's important that they are able to associate those things. So when they think of making that decision again, they're gonna be like, all right, well, I had my stomach messed up for a few days, so I might not want that this time. And it's just okay. It's just about letting people know that it's okay to be a human. We're humans, and you're gonna have that. And I think it's unrealistic expectation that a lot of times people will tell people, no cheat meals, don't eat nothing that you like. And I mean, when somebody actually does eat something they like, they're going to go crazy because you told them they couldn't have it, and they're going to want it even more. So I think that's very important to let people know that it's okay every once in a while to have something that you crave, but as long as you worked for it. Did you have a great week? Were you eating healthy meals throughout the week, and then you decided to have something that you enjoyed? I think that's okay. But when you tell people, oh, all this is off the table completely, that's going to make them want it even more.
Gotcha. And do you say anything, or do you do anything special for your clients, especially as we're coming up to Thanksgiving, right? So we know they eat a lot over Thanksgiving, and then it's just a few
Yeah.
weeks later, it's right into Christmas, and it's right into New Year's, and then before you know it, it's kind of like, hey, how did I gain all this weight? And I'm like, oh, you were eating off, not on the protocol, right? So what do you
Yeah.
share with your clients? How do you create that mindset for them to say, hey, you can have some things, but maybe you don't have to go back for a second or something. What do you say to them to help them through the holidays? Because that's where we see a lot of people, gain that holiday weight.
It is. And I think often around the holidays, it's like, it feel like it's ingrained in us that we have to just pile the plate up because we have all these different foods that we don't get on a normal basis. But it's really, it goes back to moderation. Okay, if you're gonna eat Thanksgiving dinner, but maybe I'm gonna eat till I'm full. I'm not gonna keep eating till I can't, till I need a wheelchair to get back to my vehicle. Maybe that's what a lot of people do. We often just fill our plates up so much because it's a holiday, and we justify it by saying it's the holiday. Yeah, it is a holiday, but that doesn't mean you have to go crazy with it. Set some boundaries. I'm gonna eat until I'm full. I'm gonna go take a walk after I eat. There's things that you can do to help with that. 15-minute walk or having a walk after you eat. That's a great benefit. That's gonna help with digestion. And it's just keeping up with the routine. Like you said, you're gonna have Thanksgiving, and then Christmas is not far away. So yeah, we have that day of where we eat, and we eat till we're full. But then the rest of the days we go back to business as usual. That wasn't a free pass to just dump everything out. And that's what we have to establish that in the beginning.
And but then they'll tell us, but hey, it's at work too, right? So it's not just it's the stuff leading up to it that comes at work, and then it's the stuff after Thanksgiving that's still at work, especially when you get closer to Christmas time. It's just like there's something always there. So what do you say to your clients to teach them that mindset to say no, to walk by it, to not have it, to not eat it? What do you say to them, especially like the diabetic patient? Because we'll see a lot of patients with cardiometabolic disorders. It's like, I'm sorry, you can't have it. It's like a kick to your kidneys. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Kick to your pancreas, kick to your kidneys. I mean, you see the charts. You don't want to get
Yeah.
diabetes, right? That's like
No, no, you don't.
you don't want to get diabetes. And I always tell that to my patients, like, this is the last thing that you want to get, because yeah, there's medicine. That's great. But we have a lot of people that take medicine and they'll still eat their 3 slices of pizza. It just doesn't work for that. So what do you share with your clients that how they can create that mindset to not want to participate in eating those foods that are not healthy for them, especially through the holiday season?
I think it goes back to your mindset. It's super important to really focus on our goals around, especially around that time of year. I mean, you really have to super focus in on what your goals are and ask yourself, if I have that extra snack that somebody brought in around Christmas time, is that lined up with my goals? We really have to focus in on that, and we have to establish boundaries. Are we going to eat Thanksgiving Day, or are we going to eat every day leading up to it? You can't have all of them. A holiday is not a reason for a free fall. At the end of the day, we still have to stay lined up with our goals, and our actions need to line up with our goals are, and that's super important to stress to your client. But I mean, just to tell them not to have anything, I mean, they're going to indulge in everything. So we just have to set those boundaries.
I like when patients tell me, "Wow, I eat turkey and it really makes me sleepy." I'm like, "So it had nothing to do with the pecan pie, the potatoes, the bread, the string bean casserole. It was the turkey took you out. The 4 ounces of turkey took you out, but nothing else did, right? Because their blood sugar just goes so high. But I love it when it's, oh, turkeys. You gotta be careful. Turkey, Dr. K, makes you sleepy, so you can't eat turkey and drive. Like, I'm sure there's the other things as well. So when you work with your nutrition clients, is there a specific client that you work with nutritionally? Is it primarily clients who want to lose weight, or clients that are having brain fog, or they're coming in with joint pain? You talked a little bit about the importance of exercise and people who have joint pain. You talked about the immune system as well. So who do you like to work with when it comes to nutrition?
I like to see a variety of different people. It's only going to give you more experience of having people with diabetes, of having people who are immobile with different body parts. I like working with a variety of people, but mainly I'm in the 30 to 50 range, right? And most people that come, they say they want to lose weight. I have some people that are extremely overweight, but everyone has different goals. But it all comes down to, wanting to lose weight and being active and being there for their family. That's why I hear a lot. And that's absolutely what people should be focusing on when it comes to their goals. When you ask people their goals, a lot of times they'll say, I want to lose, 10, 20 pounds. And I often ask them, I say, well, how did you come up with that number? And a lot of times people don't know, or they say, well, when I was in high school, I looked good at that age. And okay, well, we're older, we naturally lose muscle as we age. So you're not going to exactly look the same as you did back then. Right. So it it's just really important that we just focus on our habits. I mean, our habits ultimately create our outcomes, and when we develop better habits, we get better results.
But they'll tell me, but it's hard to create a habit, right? They'll say it's hard to get up early in the morning to work out, right? It's hard to walk after dinner, but yet they'll tell me they watched, and proud of it, watched like 6 hours of Netflix, right? I'm like, you could exercise in that whole 6 hours. Nothing. You couldn't sit on like a big stability ball and make circles with your hips. Nothing, right? So I find
Something,
that
yeah.
they off patients something like I just don't have the time. So with your workouts and the instruction that you offer, is it like they have to work out like 3 days a week, 4 days a week? How do you like to structure it? Like, can they get away with a 15-minute workout, a 30-minute workout?
Well, the first question I like to ask people is what can you commit to realistically? Because a lot of times you'll ask people, how many days they want to work out, and somebody will say 4 or 5 days. And a lot of times that's not realistic. It's tough to work out 5 days a week. And as you know, because the challenge is coming up, that's a very tough time frame to do 5 days a week every single week. That's tough. So I try to tell people, be realistic. If you can only do 2 days a week, then say that and commit to those 2 days. And then once you've done 2 days a week, for 3 weeks, then maybe pick it up to a day. But a lot of times we start out thinking we have to be up here when, let's start here and work our way up to that. And I think if a lot of people started with smaller goals and started working their way up, a lot of people may not quit so much. But it's just that we don't manage our expectations properly.
Yeah, I see that happen a lot, and I do. I work out 5 days a week. I mean, I have to work out 5 days a week because that's how it keeps me moving, right? So the type of practice I have is very physical, so I'm on my feet all day. So the workout allows me to do my work. That's why I really like what Funk Roberts put together. It wasn't just about like, oh, you have to look a certain way. It's very
Right.
functional. The activities that he provides during his workouts. So when you're working with a patient, do you work one on one, or do you do this virtually? How do you do this when you work with a patient, a client?
Yeah, I've had some clients I worked with in person. I've had some that I did virtually as well. It kind of depends on, what their location is and what works best for them. But you can train people virtually, and you do it in person and still get the same results. It depends on how motivated the person is and how dialed into their goals they are. But you can absolutely do either one.
And when it comes to nutrition, how do you help them with, like, do you create a meal plan for them? What do you do to help them, you know, follow the protocol like you lay out? Because it's so easy for them to just go to the supermarket and just buy even healthy foods, but even the healthy foods sometimes aren't that healthy for them.
Right. I like to work with a lot of people. I like to find out their worst habits, because if we can start slowly changing habits, we're going to get the results we want. And a lot of times, if you would take just your worst habit and just work on it for 1 week at a time, and then once you've done that for a week, keep that same habit and then work on another one. Can you imagine how many habits you can change within a year's time if you adopted that same methodology? And it's really just dialing on our habits. A lot of people, we get so focused in on our progress instead of really just dialing in on that process. And if you can just become addicted to the process of what to eat and eating these foods and making great choices, you're going to get the results you want. It's automatic.
And what do you say to the client that says, and this has been told to me, so I don't like vegetables. I don't eat vegetables. And it's right up there with the other one. Like, oh, I don't drink water. I don't like the way the water tastes. I'm like, well, if the water tastes like something, you probably shouldn't be drinking it anyway. So what do you say to the client that says, listen, I don't eat vegetables. I don't like vegetables. I don't drink water.
Well, there's tons of vegetables, so there's got to be one vegetable that you like. And a lot of people think that you got to eat salads every single meal. I got to eat broccoli every single meal. No, there's tons of different vegetables, and you find the ones that you like. There's nothing that's set in stone that says you got to eat. If you want to lose weight, you got to have a salad and you got to have broccoli from your second meal. No, it's not. You find the ones that you like and you stick to those. It's like we say, food is just energy for your body. So it really doesn't matter which one you choose. I mean, you do want to keep a variety of different color vegetables, but find the ones that you like. You know, there's got to be one that you like out there.
Right. And that's what we always hope for. And what is your take on what a lot of patients talk to me about? Is like, I like to have my wine. I like to have my beer. I like to have my whiskey. And I'm kind of like, oh, it's okay to have something once in a while, but it's really not that healthy for you. So what do you when you share with them about alcohol, especially our diabetic patients? We're like, no, I'm sorry, you can't have it. So what do you say to clients when it comes to alcohol? Because everybody seems to enjoy it.
Well, it's really about educating them and letting them know how, consuming those things are going to affect their results. If you're somebody who has a deep rooted goal and you really want to focus on that, you got to ask yourself, is alcohol going to help me get there? And yeah, alcohol is okay to consume at small increments. So it's really about dialing in. If you're somebody who's drinking a beer every single day you get home from work, then I mean, that's not going to work. So let's try cutting that down. Let's try going down to maybe 3 beers one week. And then, the next week or 2 weeks later, let's go down to two. But it's really just that moderation and figuring out, why do you feel like you have to have that? Are you having it because there's some other issues going on that you're kind of masking, or are you having it because you feel like it's helping you relax? But we really got to figure out why we do the things we do.
Yeah, I think that's really important as well. And how do you feel about caffeine? Like people drinking coffee, good, bad? I mean, for some people it works great. For some people, it's like if they have it after like 12 o'clock, they can't even sleep at night.
Yeah, absolutely. With caffeine, definitely you don't want to have it, 6 hours, from bedtime. Any closer to bedtime than that, it's going to be hard to go to sleep. So I don't think there's anything wrong with coffee, but I think when you change it and you put, all these heavy creamers and you put tons of sugar and things like that, then it's not as effective, first of all, and you're getting all these empty calories that are not benefiting you.
Right. And we see a lot where people, especially the pumpkin lattes that came out during the fall season, and it was like, I'm like, you're not drinking coffee, you're drinking a dessert. And we try not
Yeah,
to try not to drink the calories, try to eat the calories, that's for sure. And
yeah,
one last question
absolutely.
before we wrap it up. When it comes to calories,
Yeah.
how do you have your clients count calories? How do you feel about people looking at their calories and counting calories? Because some people go to the extreme and some people just don't even care.
Yeah, so with the calories, I don't feel it's necessary to count them. Some people do like that. Like me, I put mine in the app just for me because it's accountability. I can look at the middle of the day and I can be like, all right, I haven't had enough protein, or the salt's kind of high, and I use that for accountability. But I tell other people, focus on balanced plates. It's not necessary to count your calories, but if you're somebody who wants to keep yourself accountable, or if you're somebody who likes that, then you absolutely can. But I don't think it's not necessary. I try to teach people simple to follow systems, kind of like the same thing that Funk has taught us with, you know, uh, looking at your hand and saying the palm of your hand is a serving of protein, or for guys, the whole hand is two serving, or looking at your carbs, your healthy grains, and putting in the cup of your hand, really finding simple ways that you can use. If I go out to eat at a restaurant and I know exactly how much to eat, because, we know that they give us too much food at restaurants.
Right. Right.
So if you equip people with simple to follow ways that they can do when they're outside of their home, I think people have a lot more success. But if somebody thinks that they got to go to the restaurant and you got your wife pulling out your scale out of your purse so you can weigh the food, like that's unrealistic. Nobody wants to do that, and that's annoying. So I think it's about showing people simple to follow ways to get their nutrition in.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. Any parting words of wisdom that you want to share with us? Any thoughts around mindset, nutrition, exercise?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say is a lot of times we focus too much on the how to. We want to know which nutrition plan is going to get me there, which workouts. But it's really we need to focus on the why too, why we should be doing something. Find the deeper desire of our goals, and not just I want to lose 5 or 10 pounds, but really find out, why are we wanting to be around for our grandchildren? Are we wanting to fit into that? Are you wanting to fit into that dress that you fit in high school? But it's really about not just using surface goals, but really diving deep and figuring out what is the real reason why you want to accomplish your goals, and really keeping that somewhere where you can see it every single day to remind yourself when you decide to make choices that don't line up with your goals.
Beautiful, beautiful. And for those who are listening, how can they get in touch with you? How can they follow you?
Definitely, you can follow me on Facebook, Leandrew Marshall. I'm in the process of putting together my own program and websites and things like that. It's not quite there yet, but you can definitely follow me on Facebook, Leandrew Marshall. I'm also on Instagram, Leandrew with just Leandrew M. Or you can just shoot me an email, Leandrew at themarshallmethod.net. So there's several ways to get in touch with me.
And don't forget about your podcast too, because congratulations again on starting your podcast.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yes, and I do have my podcast as well. It's on Spotify. It's on iHeart. It's on a few other platforms. But I am getting into podcasting. I did my first episode and look forward to doing more episodes. So definitely on my podcast as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. So once again, everybody, this is Dr. Michael K from the Center for Functional Health. Leandrew, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time tonight. If anybody has any questions, please reach out to us and we'll get you those answers. All right. We'll talk to everybody soon.
All right. Appreciate you.